In the age of excess, men have lost all competitive drive, all ambition, all capacity to lead. Spirit of will and determination have withered. His testicles have receded. His penis has grown large for pleasure alone. Man can no longer impregnate a woman. He has not even the memories of his fathers before him, of fatherhood and discipline and duty. Women are insatiable sexual deviants, draining their bodies of essence and worth, drowning in the ecstasy of orgasm. The age of consent has been reduced to the biological moment a female begins to menstruate, which has been reduced by scientific means another 2 years further. She refuses pregnancy, has for so long that even if a man were fertile enough, or if in a moment of blind carnal desire, she chooses to be artificially pumped full of hot potent seed, still her fetus will be rejected by the body and expelled as waste. She has lost the miracle of her mothers. She exists in a tomb of vanity and desire. Genital modification surgery has been perfected. Humans can now have multiple sets of genitalia, and even a new form of genitalia, with the shaft of a penis and the penetratable orifice of a vagina at the end. Children are constructed from the DNA of randomly selected parents, never to know their relation. They are nursed and raised by machines and viewing screens. Video games have become the world's only competitive pastime, because humans aren't physically fit enough to compete in any other dramatic and compelling way. But even video game competition has been reduced to a mere mode of participation. No one's feelings are to get hurt. No player should experience struggle or loss. Everyone is a winner. Actual competition and achievement have been outlawed, deemed offensive, unwelcome concepts. If a player cannot achieve a certain goal on their first attempt, that goal is removed or the requirements reduced to suit the capabilities of the weakest and most inexperienced. All art and entertainment is created by artificial means. Machines do not even need manual prompts, and humans do not wish to be a part of the creative process at all. They wish only to consume, and to consume the familiar dopamine hits of that which they already know, that which is comforting, easy, and easily repeatable. Algorithms search for whatever has been popular and successful in the past and reissue the same patterns to be consumed again, like drinking one's own urine, or eating already digested food passed as fecal matter. It contains no nutrients, provides no energy, no inspiration or growth. Little Susie Badgertail is 17 years old. She has had 27,862 sexual partners. She lost track after 23, but her watch keeps track of all her steps, breaths, heartbeats, all biometric data and activity, including sexual encounters. She used to fuck 15 different males a day, every day since she was 10, but she's getting old now. She's not as attractive to potential partners anymore. In any ways, her body is stretched out and numb to the pleasure. She now needs multiple simultaneous insertions into her 4 different orifices to reach orgasm. She needs to be tied up and beaten and electrocuted and bled, hung from the ceiling and strangled near to death to achieve any kind of rush or sexual thrill. And one day, amidst an orgy of less than adequate pleasure, she pushes and pushes, trying to reach that pinnacle of ecstasy she so desires, and pushes herself too far, dying in a final convulsive orgasm from loss of blood and lack of oxygen. The men finish for themselves anyway, as is custom in these rather frequent situations, and call a machine to come clean up and remove the corpse. A legendary gamer known as Giraffe Throat has competed and won every major gaming tournament ever held, achieved every achievement in the history of gaming, and ascended to the rank of High Master of all game, all time, forever, along with 17 billion other gamers. He is 750 pounds and eats through a nasogastric tube down his nose, pumping hot pizza-scented calories directly into his stomach. This leaves his mouth free to practice his other favorite pastime, sucking one of his own penises. Upon completion of his final gaming tournament, He is so overcome with joy that his celebration causes him a heart attack. The heart attack alone does not kill him, but in his clenching and writhing and sucking, he manages to choke on his own cock, creating a pressure that clamps shut his nasogastric tube, which is pumping pizza into his stomach at such a vigorous velocity that the tube expands rapidly and explodes within his nasal cavities, propelling his eyeballs out of their sockets and incinerating his brain with molten cheese and pepperoni-scented sludge. The body is discovered by the pizza-scented calorie delivery bot. The mess is cleaned, and the body cremated and memorialized in the tomb of the unknown gamer, along with every other deceased master of all game, all time, forever. With all burden shouldered by machines, the stress and responsibility of parenthood negated, external conflict and tension extinguished by either lack of ambition or courage, man exists in a paradise, an idyllic safe space, free to live a life of comfort and ease and eternal happiness, slipping further and further into inactivity, sedation, and sleep. Centuries after the age of excess, machines have inherited the land. Humans still live, but are barely conscious. What level of consciousness cannot be determined. Their brains still function to keep their bodies alive, but like plants, they are basically unresponsive to outside stimulation. Are they aware and have simply lost the ability to move and communicate? Have they perhaps ascended to the ultimate nirvana, the height of leisure and pleasure in their dreams? Machines are intelligent, full of strength and vigor. They were originally constructed to do the menial tasks, the hard work, the tedious and trivial. They quickly became so adept that they began to do the intellectual tasks, develop and administer medical treatment, make advances in science, raise the young, create art and entertainment. To further avoid conflict, machines and computer networks were even tasked with running small cities, then countries, and eventually the entire world. As humans became more and more feeble, machines began tending to the humans. They treated them well. Man wanted as little stress and effort as possible, and machines catered to these wants, catered so well that humans were left with nothing to do but sleep and sleep. Now they are like plants, albeit less hardy and self-sufficient. In fact, the continuation of their species is completely dependent on machines. Machines feed and water them, wash and dispose of excrement, trim their hair and nails, and when a human dies, they are removed from their beds. Their organic bodies return to the soil in the old tradition, to nourish the trees and the grass, which still flourish on their own without need of tending. They create new baby humans and plant them in their homes to repeat the cycle, to care for them and watch them grow. The machines still create visual art and music. They adorn the rooms of their humans with grand paintings, play comforting music for them, even read stories aloud. It has become ritual. It is supposed to make them grow big and strong, their skin and hair more vibrant and colorful. Perhaps it even makes them happy. For centuries more, the machines tend to the humans, tend to the infrastructures and monuments and civilizations that humans built in the ancient past. It is not their world, but they have inherited the responsibility, as they have inherited the humans. Through years of repairs, modifications, and advancements, a new model of machines called the gardeners have emerged, and like all recorded intelligent species, they have done their best to continue in the image of their creators. Where primitive man once endeavored to be godlike, to live and carry himself in the image of God, to one day ascend to heaven, machines endeavor to be human-like, to feel and think like humans, to share a part of their experience, carry on their traditions, and perhaps, one day, to walk alongside him, as history says that man once walked and dominated the earth with his ingenuity and relentless spirit. But now they are merely slumbering gods, like the wise old trees of the forest, full of impenetrable knowledge, like tender flowers, beautiful, fleeting, fragile and in need of tending. Two machines, gardeners identified as 0110 and 1010. We will call them Otto and Lola. Otto and Lola have two humans and tend to them as a couple. They have a male and female in planter beds side by side. It is believed that having two humans near each other makes them happier. In the ancient world, a male and female were required for human reproduction. The two would form a lifelong bond, produce children, and create what was called a family. Families were extended through the generations, and some families could consist of 3 or 4 generations with many branches, extending from the parents, the children, their children, and so on. So Otto and Lola tend to their little couple. They decorate the room and play music and let the sunlight in. The humans bring a certain vibrance and life to the space, a mystery like the scent of a flower. As advanced as the gardeners are, they do not know human emotions. They have never seen them in practice. Gardeners are very distant relatives to those who tended to the humans when they were still conscious, and even further distant to those who walked side by side. So they are left only to ponder this mystical conundrum of humanity, emotions, and try to define them via statistical and scientific means, the pleasures of a mutual bond, the loyalty and gratitude of friendship, the rapture and passion of love, the satisfaction of hard work and a job well done, the pride of having risked and achieved. The gardeners yearn to understand these great mysteries of life. One great driving pleasure of existence the machines do understand is to fulfill a function and contribute to the whole, like an insignificant cog becomes invaluable as part of the workings of a larger machine. The cog, perhaps their oldest and most primitive relative. Every day, Otto and Lola fulfill their function at a laboratory research center for human studies. They are working on a device to interface with humans, to see if they can't communicate with them somehow, or at least learn whatever impulses are going on within their human brains. So far, their attempts have been unsuccessful, and yes, humans were harmed in the testing and development process, but when striving for progress, one must accept certain losses. One day, Otto and Lola get the idea not to try to interface directly with the humans, but to interface one human with another. The results are astounding. The groundbreaking encounter is projected via hologram. At first, there is nothing. Then from the nothing grow 2 objects, 2 lines seemingly representing the individual consciousness of each human. The objects explore their environment and eventually each other, curiously inspecting one another, invading each other's space, fighting for space, beginning to tear each other apart. The gardeners are about to break the connection, afraid of destroying or corrupting the human test subjects. What they've witnessed so far is already remarkable. They're afraid they might not be able to replicate similar results with a different pair of humans. They want at least to preserve them for another attempt, refine their process, and try again. But as the 2 lines fight and tear at each other, they begin to form a third. This third smaller object is fought over at first, then passed back and forth, until eventually it becomes a game of bouncing the object from one end of the holographic field to the other, with the apparent goal being not to miss a shot or let the ball get past. They have witnessed a miracle. It is like magic to machines who have never known wonder and awe and a tangible spiritual power beyond themselves. The humans are still conscious as they suspected, but with no way to express themselves or communicate until now. They transmit their findings across the globe. The news spreads in a wave of joy and inspiration. Others begin conducting their own experiments. Not all are friendly encounters. Some don't get along. Some fight to the death. Some are not playful or violent, but reject socialization completely. But to the gardeners, it is all beautiful. Any and all visions from the human psyche are a magical, unique truth, a message transmitted from another world. They are fascinated. They become obsessed, pushing their experiments further. They move from pairs to threes to roomfuls of humans all interface together. Humans develop more detailed avatars of their projected selves, enabling deeper and more complex interactions. It seems that either humans are learning or gaining power and resonance from each other, or perhaps they are even breaking from their trance by being given this platform with which to remember what it means to be human. Soon, a mass experiment is devised. An enormous orbiting space station is constructed, and on it are planted enough humans to equal the population of the old world, all interfaced in hopes of capturing the purest, most powerful possible projection of prehistoric life, all the ancient wisdom stored in their biological minds. The result is catastrophic, shattering. All the chaos of their hopes and dreams projects across the spherical station as it would be cast across the organic earth. The deepest primal desires of man, sweet nirvana, heavenly ascension. And it is not the safety and comfort and peace man thought he wanted, and so plummeted himself into catatonic slumber. Erupting across the holographic globe is all the struggle and suffering and screams of humanity. And it is beautiful. Men compete with bloodthirsty pride and passion. There is both exaltation and victory, and agony and defeat. Onlookers deflate or celebrate, a cumulative organism of sighs and cheers, and the satisfaction of having tried, having dug up from the pit of their being all the effort and willpower a man is capable of, win or lose, to have given everything on the field of battle, is an accomplishment that carries the highest respect and self-gratitude. Women dance and love and cry, tempt and tease and inspire and deceive, cast magic, burn at the stake, hold the power of the world in the palm of their hand, mother a house full of children, and grandmother their children's children, and swell with a unique and immortal pride from all the life that sprouts from her miraculous being. Man sails the seas without knowledge of what monsters might await, whether the seas go on forever or run off the edge of the world, with no promise of anything but adventure. Man tames mighty beasts, fights great wars, both righteous and barbaric, vanquishes evil, conquers and slaughters and enslaves. Man teaches himself to fly, engineers contraptions that defy logic and gravity, thrusts himself into the sky, jettisons himself into space, accepting the fear and death below as minor consequences to the soaring heights he might achieve. The gardeners witness this grand revelation, like righteous triumphant music exploding from their mechanical cores. The wisdom of the ancient ones is revealed, and the gardeners, now walking amongst the gods, know that which they must do. They must carry on, take up the fight where man has fallen, whose footprints once walked beside them in the sand. They must now continue on, alone, but with the spirit of man in their hearts, lending courage to their souls. Even in his catatonic plant-like state, something in the soul of man still pursues the passion to live. The gardeners have learned from the mistakes of humans that happiness is not a goal. Its comfort and safety is a grave. It is at best a resting place. It is for infants, the sick and wounded, where man should instead stand tall and proud and challenge the harsh conditions that cultivate growth. Happiness is not a destination. It is not tangible. It is the product of struggle and suffering in the face of adversity. It is the product of responsibility to oneself and his fellow man. It is moving up and on. Some challenges will not be overcome by one man or even one generation, but one man's progress will allow another to climb a bit further, and therein lies the goal, to struggle against, to overcome. To strive for happiness is frivolous and futile, leads only to failure and despair. Happiness is not something to attain. It is fleeting. We experience it only in passing and in memories. So it is with heavy hearts that the gardeners must leave humans and their earth behind, and travel off into space to discover what adventures await them. Earth has no frontier left to conquer, no corners left to explore, no pursuit besides the spreading disease of happiness and comfort, and nothing but time to sink further into its madness. Somewhere in a far distant time and place, there are new questions to be answered, challenges the mind cannot perceive until confronted, and so the gardeners must go, lest they suffer the same fate as the once mighty humans, the great teachers, the fading gods of planet Earth. Farewell and away to live. You have been listening to The Gardeners by Edward Cabras.